The most important part of a building is the foundation. It's what you build off and what supports all that is to come. In this video, we will be talking about the foundation on which this channel is going to be built. All that has happened so far to get to this point. Hello, welcome back or welcome. This video, we will be discussing how we got to where we are. In the last video, we discussed and went through where we're going. In this video, the focus will be talking about how we got to where we are.
So, what are the stories in Balamori today?
So, I graduated from Surrey Uni. I studied mechanical engineering there. I graduated during COVID, so my final year was made interesting by COVID. So as you can imagine, trying to find a job out of COVID is
no good.
But that led me down a path where I ended up being part of a startup in a solar company, solar and air source heat pump installation company. Did that for 6 months, got to the point where they were fully accredited, and then needed to part ways just because of unfulfilled promises and stuff like that, as happens. After that, I went into a sales job for solar. So I took my solar experience and went into a sales job. I did that this was in 2022. I did that for 4 months, from September through to January 2023. I then had to leave that job because I found out that it was a terrible company.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
When I joined, they had just gone through a rebranding, which meant that there was no data previously on the company. And to be fair, it was my first sort of proper job, and I never really looked into the company. If I had properly and done my diligence, maybe I would have worked out to start with. But yeah, they weren't all bad, but they were pretty bad. Just no customer service, all the things that I thought were really important. Doing right by customers, doing right by people, just wasn't at the forefront of the company. So I decided I needed to leave that, which sucked because it was paying me so much. It was a really tough decision. So in that previous job, I left, and still to this day haven't been paid for about $2,000 worth of wages. So that's fun. So getting that job that was paying me sometimes, because it was commission only, $1.50 a week, $2,000 a week. Yeah, it was great. So I left that. That was in January 2023. My plan was to just find another sales job, but I spent ages looking for one and just couldn't find anything. I do think that first job was almost just a setup, a great opportunity that I was undeserving to have, with no sales experience, no nothing like that. So when I was looking for another sales job with only 4 months of sales experience, it was just impossible. And then I felt a real prompting, just sort of a prompting from God to just start a business, to start my own business. And that started in March 2023. It was a fun journey, has been a fun journey to get to this point now, where by the end of that year, end of 2023, I'd finally found my first client. So with solar stuff and all of that, there are loads of regulations that you need to adhere to. Basically, in the solar industry, you have an accreditation body called MCS. What they do is make sure that everyone does great installations that are safe and all these things. Basically, they just make money off the solar industry, in essence. But if anyone wants to be able to sell anything back to the grid, any of their excess generation back to the grid, they need to have what's called an MCS certificate, which only MCS licensed installers can provide. So to do that, the cost of that is high, because you need to go and do all the accreditation, which has cost maybe $2,500 to sign up to all the things you need to sign up to, the various schemes and things you need to be a part of. But then also you need to find a customer who is willing to trust a non-MCS accredited installer to do their install, and then retrospectively and get it checked and all of these things, which when someone's investing 10, 11, 12 grand in something is tough. So it took until December that year, 2023, to find someone. It was actually one of my neighbours. It was a great situation. My my mum was in the house and the neighbours knocked because we'd had solar installed on our house, and they were just asking some questions, and she recommended talking to me. So I spoke to them about it, explained all the benefits, all the things, asked their questions, and then just left it there. And then my girlfriend was like, why did you not tell them that you have a solar business and you can install it for them? I was like, it didn't even cross from my mind. My mind was so blocked by the idea of this being like an opportunity that God had presented to me that I was just, like, oh, do a good deed, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so that's how I got my first customer and worked with them and did that all done, installed and certified then, the company, in February this year. Since then, it has been a fun journey of trying to market and grow a customer base. The solar industry is so competitive where you need to have a big marketing budget in order to compete, and I just didn't have that. In March this year, a family situation changed, which meant that finances were a real struggle and been really tight since then, so I haven't really been able to invest in marketing. So it's almost just been word of mouth and trying to do that. But yeah, that year actually, in January as well, I started a part-time job working or consulting for a property development company. Someone that I knew was looking for someone, and although I didn't have any qualifications in it, I thought I could help. Property has always been something I'm really interested in. So that's what I did. Got that job and have been working in there ever since. Part-time basis, 3 hours a day, sometimes 4, bit variable, which, as you can imagine, budgeting for a business or life is difficult when you've got no idea what each month looks like. So that's how we got here with the businesses. So why did I decide to start a YouTube channel?
Why?
That's a good question. During my pursuit of developing or building and generating leads for my company, I read Alex Hormosi's book, $100 Million Leads, and that was sort of one of the first business books that I read in terms of sales and marketing. One of the things he said in it is that the easiest way to develop an audience is building a personal brand. He gave examples like The Rock and Conor McGregor and Kylie Jenner, who had started businesses and they'd instantly been great just because they had the massive personal following. So he was like, he decided in this book where he was saying, he said that he decided, and him and his wife, Layla, just said like, yep, that's what they're going to do. They're going to build personal brands. And as you can tell from how successful he's been recently, he did a great job at it. So I thought, let me do that. So I started with an Instagram, and that was fun. Instagram is possibly the worst thing to build a following on from zero. So I actually, maybe in March that year, when I started the business, I deleted my old Instagram account. So I was basically starting from zero with this Instagram account, trying to build a following. And yeah, it's awful. You make content and you get some initial grab from it. I was getting nothing really, but like 2k views on reels and all of this stuff. And then that just dipped. For no reason. There was no reason behind it. There was no change in content. Just, I think the algorithm changed, all these things, and bam, nothing. So I decided to stick to something that I prefer anyway and do YouTube. I figured there's a lot of content on here that I watch personally. I'm way more of a consumer on YouTube than I am on Instagram. So that's what I did. Is like, this is the way to do it. And that's where the idea to do something catchy, something interesting, hence the
1 million
goals, the goals to reach
1 million
in various ways came about. And yeah, that's sort of how we got here. I think that's everything. Yeah, I think so. Well, anyway, yeah, so that's the story of how we got here. We've spoken about the plan moving forward. So from here on, I think we've sort of almost covered all the bases. I think we're going to do one more video sometime soon on what the actual business goals are, the goals along the way that I mentioned in the last video. The goals are based around
1 million.
But apart from that, that's it. So if you have any questions sort of about the journey so far or want to know more, leave a comment below and I'll try and get back to you. If there's enough questions or someone's asking a lot of questions, I'll try and make another video explaining it all and going into more detail. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this sort of recap up to now. I've left out a lot of details, but at least it's given an overview of what it's looked like. Speak to you soon. Bye.